Hello there, Kamustaka. Welcome back to my 5th video in the Axie Infinity Scholar Beginner series. And in this video, you will learn about how to improve your gameplay in the arena, which is the PvP. In today's video, we will be talking about 5 important factors that may help you to gain an advantage during your arena gameplay. So let's move on. First factor we will need to talk about is the team formation. It is because during a gameplay or fight in the arena, your axis position actually matters when attacking the enemy's axis, your opponent's axis, if you may. So perhaps you can switch it up and maybe do it something kind of like mine. As you can see, I put 2 at the back, upper row, and 1 in the middle row at the front. This is to ensure that we have control over the target axis, which is in this case, the enemy's axis will always hit this plant first, then this beast, then this aqua, and we would also always hit their most front axis and prioritize their upper axis too. The second factor would be to understand your team. This factor seems a bit too simple, but then it is very crucial for beginners like us to actually understand what our team is capable to do. So as you can see from my screen, I will need to actually go into my axes and just click on them to understand and read what each card entails, what they can do, what combos they can do with each other, and what type of cards are there to be fought against the enemy. If you do not understand what Axie classes are and how they affect each other, please check my previous video about the Axie Infinity class guide. Yeah, and then as you can see, I have an aqua behind with 4 different cards too. So please understand how each card works together in synergy to have the best optimum outcome. The third factor that may improve your gameplay is to simply just understand your opponent's team. So when you are entering the arena, please make sure to not only look at your own axes, but also to look at the typing of your opponent's axes and the cards that each of their axes have. A famous Chinese phrase said that to win 100 battles, you will not only need to understand yourself, but also the enemy. That is highly applicable in this scenario, as you only have half of the information, and if you can tap into what your opponent has in their hands, you would actually be a better player sooner or later. Although you can't see your opponent's screen, but the following information will help you assemble the full picture soon enough. The fourth tip would be to count energy. Yes, this may be a bit tedious at the beginning, but I promise you, once you get the hang of it, it's smooth sailing from there on. So one of the basics to understand what your opponent can do to you is to calculate how much energy they have left. So from the beginning round, the first round, everybody will be rewarded with 3 energy, then 2 energy for each consequent round. However, Axie Infinity has a lot of cards that can give you an energy gain, an energy steal, or an energy destroy. So you will need to take note down of these few cards when you are clicking on your enemy and to see what they can do to you also. So a tip would be to take a piece of paper and a pen to jot down how much energy your opponent currently has for each round, and then you can also formulate a battle strategy from there on out. The key here is to stay focused and not to be distracted or overwhelmed by what your opponent throws at you, and instead focus in on his energy utilization. The last tip would be to understand what our card pulls. So with the energy counting out of the way, the next big factor would be the type and amount of card your opponent has. So recall the third tip just now, which is that you will need to press your opponent's axes to understand what type of cards they might possess to fight with you. But just knowing what kind of cards is not enough. You will need to understand what cards your opponent has on their hand. However, we can't really see through their screen, so we can't really know. But we can somehow guess what kind of cards they have on their hand after they play their first few rounds. So each Axie has 4 types of cards to utilize, and each Axie will only draw 2 of each card until every card is drawn twice. So in other words, if you see your opponent using 2 of the same cards, let's say on this screen the Beast with this single combat card, if I were to use it twice, that means they will not be using it for quite some time, maybe after round 5 or 6, then it might be redrawn into his hand. That pretty much sums up the basic tips for PvP for beginners. Next, we will move on to some gameplay with some commentary. Hello, welcome back to the video, and let's get on with the gameplay. So, as you can see from the lower left of the screen, we both start out with 3 energy, both me and my opponent. And then click on their Axies to understand what type of Axie they have. And oh, this Aqua has a Nemo tail which generates energy, and this reptile is a bit of a threat for us since our Aqua is weak to reptiles. And I have decided to go all out with my 3 energy. I'm holding out my fingers to count how much energy my opponent has used. Okay, 1 energy. Okay, this is mine. My opponent is stealing back, so he has 2 energy from this round reserved. And plus every round you have an extra 2 energy, so my opponent has 4 energy. Let me write that down. 4 energy. I've decided to use only 2 cards. 1 energy, 2 energy. I don't think I can kill it. Plant, yeah, I did it. Oh, that's a 0 cost card. And the Chomp is a 1 energy card. And my opponent doesn't have energy anymore, so it's a 0. And then in the 3rd round, my opponent has 2 energy. Let me write that down. I decided to just risky fish it and bite this plant. So he also used 1 energy, so leaving 1 energy. Oh, I managed to kill his plant and actually have my plant in last stand. So my opponent now has 3 energy. Let me write that down. I'm in a kind of a safe position because my plant is in last stand and the reptile and Aqua doesn't have any backdoor cards. My opponent has 3 energy. I'm surprised he didn't use his Nemo card at all. Okay, buy plant. Okay, now my opponent has 5 energy, and its Aqua is in last stand. 5 energy and in last stand. Yeah. So 1 energy. Then that's a 0 cost card. 1 more energy. 1 more energy. And 1 more energy. So my opponent now has 3 energy. While I have 4 right now. One energy, 2 energy, and 3 energy. Now my opponent has 2 energy for this round 7. 2 energy. Meanwhile, I'm stunned behind. Okay, I didn't hit that because of the stun. 1 risky fish, another risky fish, 1 shoal star. Oh, my opponent, that's a 1 energy, 0 cost, and then last charm is 1 more energy. So my opponent is ending with 0 and starting with 2 in the round 8. Wow, that's a lot of debuffs on me. This gameplay is actually to just teach you guys how to count energy more efficiently, and just write it down and not mental math it so fast in your first week, maybe in second week of Axie Infinity. And I decided to go all out, and I guess my opponent somehow miscalculated or just let me win. Damn. So there you have it. A gameplay with counting energy. So 1, 3, 1, 6, 8 SLP. Ta-da! Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, consider liking, consider subscribing, and share it with your Axie Infinity playing friends. Thank you, and mamaring salamat. Bye bye.